I saw another day, only to scream into the night. Nothing ever tries to change, even if I want to realize. 'Cause I've been sitting here, same old ways, thinking off about the same mistake. Darling, when you go away, it won't be as simple for you.
Yo guys, RDS here for my weekly or back to weekly Q&A session anyway. So this is where I try and do weekly Q&As where I basically give my thoughts on, I guess, the most up-to-date football news around Europe and the globe, I guess. But if you're new to the channel, to like, share and subscribe to Red Devil Studio, follow us on Twitter, United X, and smash the notification button, well, for latest news and then some, So as it says in the title, it's the weekly Q&A. We're going to be talking Ronaldo. We're going to be talking Omonia. We're going to be talking a lot of things. Shout out to Samasi in the chat. Thank you so much for joining in, Samasi. Really, really appreciate it. I know it is a bit late, but thank you so much. I'll be going for probably about an hour or so, I think. But yeah, you yourself mentioned and talking about Ronaldo, for example, is probably going to be a topic. So I must confess, I didn't watch the full Omonia versus United game. I've kind of been really, I don't really focus on the Europa League until knockout stages, because that's when it gets good. And actually, you can make an argument that the Europa League is actually going to be really, really, really competitive this year. Actually, the Europa League is actually going to be really, really, really competitive this year. When you consider how many teams are likely to drop in, I think Liverpool look like they'll probably be fine. I think Liverpool will be fine. I think Chelsea look like they'll be probably fine as well. But Spurs probably might go in. Juventus look like they're going to go in. Atleti look like they're going to go in. So you might be seeing quite a few interesting teams in the Europa League, methinks. Sebastian, Omonia, Nicosia, fair play to them. Exactly. I mean, let's even go into it really. So, because I don't really know, I don't really know where to start when it comes to Manchester United right now, because I think a lot of people generally thought that Manchester United were going to, we're going to win. They're going to win this game. It was going to be quite comfortable. There were going to be no issues. And somehow United find themselves down to Omonia. Now, I know they obviously came back. By the way, if you have any questions to me, that's part of this. I'll put this sort of tab up. This is the weekly Q&A. So if you do have questions, please post it in the chat or DM me and we will address them. So I know Samas has already talked about one, about Ronaldo, so we'll talk on that. But I'll just give my brief thoughts on the Omonia game, because my goodness, man. Varane is obviously injured, and Maguire is still injured, so Lindelof and Martinez are going to be the duo for a while. So good or rightly or wrongly, but I think the issue is that we're still not really seeing what is United's best starting 11. We've asked this for a while, actually. What is United's best starting 11? Because as it stands now, it has to include. We don't know what's the best back. For the last couple of games, we actually thought the best back four. We thought we solved that problem. We thought we solved that problem with having Dalot and Malacia and Varane, and it all seemed to work. There was the chemistry there. Now, I don't know what's happened. Obviously, Varane has been injured. That's disrupted things. Malacia now seems this is the second time. I'm a bit worried actually because this is the second time, um, the second time in a row where Malacia was taken off at half time. Now he's not injured clearly, so was there a reason why the dude was taken off? Did Ten Hag think that he was that bad? Or is this a kind of a like between him and Luke Shaw battling? I know him and Luke Shaw battling up his place, and I'm not saying Luke Shaw is finished or anything like that, but it must be, and he's obviously got a lot to improve upon. There's no doubt about Malacia. So, but I just think it's just interesting, because obviously Wan-Bissaka is just doesn't seem to be anywhere near this team at all. That seems to be the impression I get. So we don't really have a backup right back. Although Malacia did do some work for the Netherlands, I think at centre backs. There is that. But who knows? I don't know. I really don't know for Malacia and for this team because we don't know what our best starting 11 is yet, and it's increasingly frustrating always having to consider what is Manchester United's best starting 11. Midfield, likewise. Do you play Eriksen, Bruno, and McTominay? Do you play Casemiro, who we bought, with McTominay and then Bruno? Do you bring it's I don't know. And front three wise, we're gonna talk about Ronaldo later, but Ronaldo clearly is lacking for the first time I've seen in a while. He is lacking absolute and total confidence, and it's quite sad to see. I'm going to be relying on Rashford and Martial. Sancho, I'm getting a bit tired of Jadon Sancho now. I'm not saying that he's bad, but he's just so inconsistent for us. So inconsistent. And it's annoying. It's very, very, very annoying. It's very annoying. Let me quickly look at some. Conte is a joke. What did Conte do now? What did Conte do now? What's Conte done? Have I missed something on Twitter? What's Conte done? I don't know what's. I'm not exactly sure what Conte's done actually. If you aside from the fact that, we'll talk about Champions League in a second, but I mean, aside from the fact that I don't know, does Conte want to get sacked? I don't know because Conte is. Let's say we are currently talking about Champions League, but there is an element where like Conte actually is a bit of a fraud, to be honest. Because I said Spurs actually had a pretty good transfer window, a very, very good transfer window. Basuma, the players they got, he barely plays Basuma, which I don't really understand. And after drawing to Frankfurt, man, this guy, yeah, exactly, drawing to Frankfurt, yeah, this guy, I did say at the beginning of my Champions League before, I said I did dare Spurs to actually dare them, like double dare them to actually not qualify from this group. Because Conte failed to qualify with Inter Milan both times, despite millions of pounds spent, and then Inzaghi comes in and qualifies first time. And Inzaghi again looks like potentially he might qualify into the Champions League this time after he beat Barcelona. If Conte, despite having 2 years with this team, despite having that money spent, can't qualify from this brick group, then I think questions need to be asked. The best midfield is Casemiro, Eriksen, and McSauce. Yeah, I would do that. Casemiro, McSauce. Make Casemiro play deeper. McTominay can go a bit more forward, and Eriksen up top. But that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. You're not going to drop Bruno. But if there's one thing I think is that we shouldn't be giving out contracts willy-nilly just like that. I just don't think that's right. Martial is too good to get benched. I think the issue, you're right. I think Martial is good, but I think the issue is injuries. That's the thing, So like people say, oh, why did Martial play 90 minutes? It's because it's the reason why Varane's got injured. I don't think Manchester United are going to get a striker in the summer, and I think that because they're not going to get a striker in the summer, I think that I think that Ten Hag is wanting to pace it so he makes sure that that Martial is fit. That's what I think anyway. I could be wrong, but that's what I think. That's what I think. But yeah, regardless, uh, I don't know. I I generally don't know whether or not this Manchester United side can do much of anything this season. Hopefully, it's a blip. I like, ideally, to be honest, Manchester United should top this Europa League group, so that they don't actually have to, deal with potentially playing a big dog from the drop out of the Champions League, because that's obviously what happens. The third place drop out from the Champions League plays the second place in the Europa League now. So United need to avoid getting second place. I don't know what happened in the other. Did Real Sociedad? Because Real Sociedad, did they? I seen they won. They win. Yeah, they did against Sheriff. Must say exactly. So I'm looking at the table. Let's have a look. Oh, I can't see it. But yeah, Real Sociedad beat Sheriff. Obviously, we beat Sheriff. The only team we lost to is Real Sociedad. So it is going to be between United and Real Sociedad when it comes to who's going to be first and who's going to be second. I think anyway. So United need to go to Spain and they need to beat Sociedad in Spain. And if we don't, we're going to be facing the team. I don't know. Samasi, thank you for joining the chat, Samasi. Really appreciate it. If you have any questions for me, Samasi, as well, let me know. So you say, Samasi, and forward, I would say Martial, Rashford, and Ante. That's what I would say as well. That's what I think as well. I think Martial's the number 9, Rashford on the left, and Ante on the right. Sancho needs to be benched. He's had too much time. He's had enough time, Sancho. He can come as an impact sub potentially, but yeah, he's had enough time. He definitely has had enough time. Roma lost, really? What happened to Uncle Mo, man? What happened to Uncle Mourinho? What happened to Uncle Mourinho? So looking at these Europa League, I think Arsenal. Oh yeah, because I think of the Europa League game because of the Queen's situation. So Arsenal top of their group 6. Fenerbahce are top of their group B with 7 points. Rennes second. And Real Betis and Ludogorets are top of their group. Roma, yeah, third, man. Jeez, Roma lost, man. If they get third, then I think third place. Yeah, I'm fairly sure third place in the Europa League drops down into the Europa Conference League. So I think that's what happens. So third place in the Europa Conference League faces off against second place in the Europa Conference League groups. So I'm not saying anything. If Jose gets relegated from the Europa League into the Conference League, I'm not saying anything. Like the GOAT needs to fix himself out. And there's Union Saint Germain and then Braga, I think. D. Real Sociedad, Manchester United. Like I said, yeah. United need to beat Sociedad. Basically, they need to beat Sociedad. It's as simple as that. Feyenoord and Midtjylland, and Lazio, and SK Sturm Graz. They've all played 3 games and all on 4 points. So that's in just quite an open group. Freiburg and Karabag in G, and then Monaco and Ferencváros are up as well, but also Trabzonspor. So yeah, it's the Europa League, banter teams. 2-1. Dortmund versus Bayern prediction. Samasi, don't worry. Do not worry about that. Do not worry about Dortmund, because here's the thing. Almost every single year, the Del Classica um, always says, always is hyped up that Dortmund are going to do something. The Dortmund are going to somehow beat Bayern and do something, and maybe sort of, but nah, it never happens, man. It never happens. It never happens. Bayern will beat Dortmund without shadow of a doubt. Bayern Munich will beat Dortmund. And so, based on the fact that Bayern Munich will beat Dortmund, I think I'm still not convinced about Bayern Munich's defense yet, but it'll score. I don't think it'll be a high-scoring affair, but probably something like 3-1, 3-1 to Bayern Munich. So don't worry about Samasi. Bayern Munich will win it, and let's keep it a stack. Bayern are going to win the Bundesliga. Bayern, or the Bayern's Liga, as we call it. How many? Okay, yes, Bayern Munich might be third place right now. Okay, and Dortmund might be fourth place on the same level of points. I appreciate that, Samasi. I do. But let's keep it stack. Let's keep it real. There's no way that Union Berlin and Freiburg are going to be there. No, it's not happening. It's just not happening. Eintracht Frankfurt as well. There's no way that Bayern Munich are going to be at Christmas time not top of this league. I for 100% Bayern Munich are going to do that. Dortmund have the same mentality as Spurs. Exactly. Bottle jobs, basically. Shout out to SB in the chat, man. Thank you for joining to a weekly Q&A, man. Always more people are welcome. Get your questions in. I'm going to talk about Ronaldo in a second, though. I'm going to talk Ronaldo. Radiesta says, are Barca in big trouble? Are Barca in big trouble, man? Yes, potentially. I don't think they're in big trouble now, because I think that right now, yes, they lost Inter 1-0, but they have the Camp Nou advantage. Okay, you know, there's a little bit of me that's worried that they will lose to. I think the key thing from what someone explained to me is that Inter played Bayern, I think, in their last game. I think so. If Barcelona lose to Inter again, then it makes things complicated, because then Bayern and Inter don't really have to go out. They would have really sort of confirmed that their places. So, yeah, it's a difficult one, really, because Bayern have got three. Maybe. But there's no way that you spend how many million and pull how many levers to get thrown into the Europa League. That's just not. I don't believe that. That's just not possible. I generally don't believe that this. No, it's not happening. It's not happening. I generally don't believe that's going to happen. I think they will be. I think they'll be okay. I think they'll be fine. I think it's just a minor blip. By the way, guys, I've not forgotten about you members. I'm sorry for those like Samasi and Michael and so on that are members. I've not forgotten about you members. I've just been so busy. I've not been able to post any member-specific videos or hangouts as of yet. I have a lot more free time after the first week of November. But I've not forgotten about you members. Thank you for your ongoing support of the channel. You know, member stuff is coming, especially around the World Cup. Union Berlin can do it. Can you imagine now? Because someone is getting sacked. If Union Berlin win the Bundesliga, it's done. If Union Berlin win it's done. It's arguably one of the greatest achievements in modern football, in the Bundesliga, and it will further cement the Premier League as a farmers' league. Because if Union Berlin are now winning the Bundesliga and Napoli winning the Serie A, and you've got Lille that can win, Ligue 1, but somehow City have always won the Premier League. Yeah, it feels like a farmers' league situation, doesn't it? If they lose again, will they lose against it? Will they lose? Yeah, I don't know what to do. We overrate some of these players who play for a big club. Do you mean for Barca? I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I think that some of the signings that Barca made, I almost thought they did the Chelsea where you're like, they're just buying players and you're thinking, do these players actually improve Barcelona? Does Christensen, does Alonso, do they actually improve Barcelona? Even Rafinha, I didn't think it was that, like likes of Rafinha and Kunde, they're okay, but they're not like massive upgrades on what Barcelona have. So, Lewandowski I can kind of understand because he's a proven goal scorer, but still, we could draw of Inter, says Bayern. I mean, it's possible you could draw of Inter. I doubt it. I think Bayern probably would still be able to beat Inter Milan. I think Inter would park the bus even more against Bayern than they did against Barcelona. And I think Bayern will find a way, but we'll see. We will see. If Barca can't break down into low block, that's the key thing at the end of the day. That's the key thing. If it's going to be a Camp Nou, so they have the advantage. And I always give it to Barcelona at the Camp Nou. So that's what I think. I think that they'll be fine to have the home advantage. But yeah, if they can't win, it's a wrap. They have to be into at the Camp Nou. They have to because that will, I think, if Inter win, that'll give them 9 points. And Barcelona will only have 3 points. You assume that Bayern will beat Barcelona. So, they'll beat, obviously, the Victor Pleisner or whatever it is. So they'll have 6 points. So, well, I mean, that would be it, wouldn't it? Yeah, it would be it. Yeah, there'd be no way. They have to because. So I'm going on from this, but they beat Victoria Pleasant only, but they lost to Bayern and they lost Inter. They lose to Inter again. They beat Victoria Pleasant. They're only 6 points. But there's a good chance they'll lose to Bayern again. So 6 points. So really and truly, if Inter do beat Barca, you can make a case that that's a wrap. Because they'll have 9 points, and Barca would have to try and beat Bayern Munich, which it's not going to happen. And even then, the maximum amount of points that Barcelona could get would be 9 points. And as far as I'm aware, with the Champions League, it's head-to-head. So a part of me is thinking like, if Inter do beat Barcelona next, does that mean that? Let me know in the chat. Let me know what you think, guys. Does that mean that Barcelona have effectively been eliminated? It must be. Like, I mean, I'm speaking about this, but it must be because if Barcelona lose to Inter the next game, the maximum amount of points that Barcelona can get will be 9 points on beating Bayern Munich and beating Victor Pleasant. However, in the Champions League, it's head-to-head, and Inter Milan would already have 9 points. So de facto, that means that they'd be through. No. Let me know what you think in the chat because that's. I think it's a degree. RDS, I was speaking too much about that anyway. RDS, who do you think is more talented, Mbappe or Us? Oh dear. I think when they started out, I would have said Mbappe. But now that certain things have gotten a hold, then it's a problem. It's a massive problem. So the problem with Ousmane Dembele is that it's like he's always had so much potential, but he's just so injury prone, so it's difficult to tell. So I'll say Mbappe just for the sheer fact that Ousmane is just too injury prone, so you could never see it. But in his time at Dortmund when he was there, I'd have put him above Mbappe personally. Problem with Bruce is brainless. He wasn't brainless at Dortmund though. He wasn't brainless at Dortmund at all. Man, Dortmund had, to be honest, peak Dembele was at Dortmund. That's the sad thing. Mbappe has been solid for PSG. But peak, I've never seen peak Ousmane at Barcelona. Peak Ousmane was at Dortmund where he was just fire. Mbappe's IQ is where Borussia is honest in the game. Yeah, exactly. But again, I think a lot of that is due to his difficulties at Barcelona, his injury issues, etc. He's just not been able to grow into the game. He's never had a really successful period or a season. He's always been out injured and stuff. So that's been a problem. Tuchel might have been right about Rafinha wing back. He is so yeah. I really don't get the hype of a Rafinha. But when Barca's fans bought him, like, yeah, we took one over at Chelsea, it was awesome, and blah 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 blah. So, but I mean, like, I don't know. I personally don't see it. Yes, it's head to go. This is what I'm saying, Samasi. This is what I'm saying. So, next week is pretty much make or break. Like, I don't know why it's not been talked about so much. Like, next week for Barca is pretty much make or break. If they lose to Inter, they're effectively Europa League bound. Like, that's it. They can't, because Inter will have 9 points because they've beaten Victoria Pleasant, they've beaten Barcelona twice, and even though Barcelona can still potentially get 9 points if they beat Bayern Munich and Victoria Pleasant, because of head-to-head, it's over. Xavi's a coach. Oh yeah. I want to see. I do too. I do too. I want a Juve Barca Europa League semi-final, like the good old days. I want a Juve Barcelona Europa League semi-final, man. Juve Barca. I'm taking Arteta of Xavi. I think now you can see that now because Arteta's finally almost got the players in, his influence, etc. So like you can see what Arteta's going to do. I still think Arteta's still somewhat naive, but I mean it's difficult because Arteta has had longer in his role than Xavi has, and I also think that Xavi, we're still seeing what Xavi is going to do. So I think I don't think you can judge now. We can judge Arteta. With Xavi, I think you're gonna have to wait until probably next season to fully judge him. Now that he's at least got some of his signings in and what have you. At least that's my personal opinion. Question: can we talk about Ronaldo? Yes, Samasi, we can. Yes, Samasi, we can. I'll leave this up here. The Ronaldo situation is quite sad, personally. Now, I think he was unlucky tonight, so on another night, he puts those chances away. Maybe it's confidence, maybe it's frustration, this is a thing with footballers, when you lose confidence, it affects all aspects of your game. And I feel like Ronaldo, and no, he's 37. People need to remember the dude is 37. But I think I think even he needs to remind himself that, listen, father time. That's it. It's his father time. And I mean, you can make an argument that maybe if he was in a different team, maybe if he was, if he was in a different team, then maybe, possibly, he might be performing a bit better. But to be honest, I'm struggling to see who. Even if he went to Chelsea, aka as a top goalie, even Chelsea struggled to create chance. So I don't necessarily think he scored more goals at Chelsea FC. I think United actually right now have slightly more creative players than Chelsea do as it stands. Go back to Juve, they're a bit of a mess. Real Madrid, no chance. Perez won't have him back. I think the Liga period is done. He's not going back to the Liga at any point. We've already done the Bundesliga thing. So really, Ronaldo doesn't really have any other place to go, really. He doesn't. Aside from a contract extension, potentially United, or the MLS, or some rich Saudi, Qatari money, league-wise. But yeah, it's sad to see the sort of the obvious sort of decline, and you can see the frustration in his face. For me, that doesn't take away from everything he's achieved at Manchester United. But there's a reason why he's on the bench. He's not able to press as high. He's not able to track back as much. Even his finishing, which, I don't know, something happened this summer, bro. Because last summer, whatever you say, I mean, certainly when he arrived, certainly from the first up until probably January, February, the dude was, bailing United out. The amount of goals that he was scoring, like, just he especially in the Champions League against he is Mr. Champions League. I don't know what it is. the goals against Villarreal and Atalanta. Fantastic to get us back in the game, but he's just not himself anymore. Unfortunately, he's just not himself. Let me have a quick look. What's going on here? One second. Cool. Let's see us in the World Cup. Yeah, but I mean, let's be real. Like they've got that brick manager. So I think that I mean, you can make an argument that you know, Sant, she should probably be dropped from the Portuguese team, and they might actually play better. There is an argument to be had about that. There really, really is an argument to be had about that. Whether it will happen or not, I don't know. Maybe Manchester City. Well, now that Haaland's there, no chance. It's such a shame that, like, I mean, literally, City was so close to buying Harry Kane, and if they bought Harry Kane, I probably wouldn't be as worried as I am. I mean, I'll talk about Haaland after I finish with Ronaldo because Haaland is scary. Haaland is actually very, 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 very scary and a problem that Manchester United will have to deal with at some point. The problem with Ronaldo is he ponders on the ball so much too much. It used to be one touch and strike. He can't with his first. Yeah, but that's what happens with age, So like you lose your first touch, you lose your position. So I'm not surprised that for this, even with Zlatan, that happens to a certain extent, So I'm not surprised. I'm just surprised that he's surprised. Yeah, exactly. What do people expect? How can you stop Haaland? Yeah, so that was you were talking about Ronaldo and my thoughts on Ronaldo and whether he can still do it. I mean, I think Ronaldo, even now, do you say Ronaldo's even an impact sub? I don't think so. He's a bench player at the moment in time. He is. He is. That's not a great way to keep fitness, but he is. He is. It's simple as that. But specifically, how can you stop? I don't know. Samasi. I don't know how you stop the Erling. So the Earl of I just don't. The Earl of Norway. I just don't. I really, really don't, and it worries me because City were good and won the league without him. Now he's scoring goals for fun in the Champions League and in the Premier League. I suspect also in the FA Cup and the Europa Cup as well when they come round. I don't know, guys. This could potentially be City's year, where they actually win the treble potentially. They could win the treble. Because they clearly are favourites to potentially win the Champions League, as are PSG. I'd say that probably City in a better position than PSG, if I'm perfectly honest. PSG, I think, still have issues, especially defensively. Not that City are great defensively either, but still. And obviously, you can never count out Real Madrid, who will obviously be in the mixed. Bayern Munich, depending on how or when Nagelsmann gets sacked and Thomas Tuchel comes in. And then, of course, you've got your underdogs, for example, like Napoli and Benfica are both doing quite well, low-key, doing very well right now. And, you never know. Maybe Chelsea might fluke it again. Who knows? But, yeah, Haaland is a problem. And it'll be interesting to see whether he can beat the goal scoring record in the season for the Premier League. He's on course to. 14 goals in 8 games, man. You times the 8, by 3, and assuming that trajectory, he'll smash it. It's disgusting, man, what this guy's doing. It really, really is. But it's not just with Haaland. It's not just because people say, "Oh, he taps stuff in." It's like, yeah, but he always seems to be in the right place to do the tap in, and he also seems to be able to redirect the ball into the area as well. It's not just like he just taps it in. It's like in some positions, it's like, how is the dude able to control the ball so that he can redirect it so it's on target towards the goal? Like, I don't get it. Like, he's able to do it, and I don't get it. I really don't. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Take away Haaland's physical advantages. I don't how. From like tripping him up or something. You can't foul the man because he just shrugs people off. Like, really, the only thing I can say is that you try and you try and mark the players that supply him, like De Bruyne, out of the game, so he's starved for service, and so has to come a lot deeper. That's the only thing that I can think of. If Haaland has to come deeper to collect the ball, then he's not going to be in the box. This happened at Dortmund a few times as well, when he wasn't getting the ball and he had to come back all the time, and it was ineffective. So that's one way, I think. Liverpool versus Arsenal. Liverpool versus Arsenal. Liverpool versus Arsenal. Liverpool versus Arsenal. It's a tough one because I think a lot of people. I actually give Arsenal being the favourites to this. I know Liverpool have always gone there and beaten them, but this is a different Arsenal. This is a very confident Arsenal. And yes, Arsenal lost to United and they're in the Europa League. But I think Liverpool fans need to be careful that just because they beat Rangers 2-0 in the league means that somehow that's equivalent to slapping Arsenal down in the Premier League. You know, Liverpool got held to draw against Brighton this week gone. And now they're going away to Arsenal, you know, at the Emirates, where they've always got relatively good home form and are confident and can finish. So, to be honest, if I'm a Liverpool fan, I'm a little bit concerned because Arsenal could legitimately win this game. And if they win the game, Everton beats, United, then Everton will be ahead of Liverpool. So if you're a Liverpool fan, you should be hoping that Manchester United beat Everton at the weekend, because if we don't, Everton will literally be above Liverpool FC if you lose to Arsenal. So we'll see what happens. But personally, I actually predict. I'll be strange. I'll say that Arsenal probably going to win. Arsenal probably going to win, and I think it'll be a 2-1. Like you said, if Vidic and Rio played against Haaland, I think they would give him problems. Haaland doesn't have the advantages he uses against other defenders against him. That's true. I don't think that many physical, I will call Vidic or Rio like physical defenders left though these days. You know, centre backs have to learn how to be able to play from the back, to cover their fullback sometimes and tuck it. I don't think that kind of physical defender. I mean, you still have got like Koulibaly, sometimes Thiago Silva pulls up that way, and a few others. But generally speaking, I just don't think that that's really focused on these days. Passing, distribution, positioning, all that stuff like that. So I still think Haaland has like an advantage. I predicted 3-2 us. Yeah, 3-2 or 2-1. I think there'll definitely be goals. There'll definitely 100% be goals. 100%. But yeah, it'll be interesting. But yeah, I'll just give my final thoughts. Because I'll also be going for almost about 40 minutes, I think. But thanks you for Sebastian SMB in the chat. Really appreciate you guys. In fact, everyone who's watching, remember to like the vid, and like the vid, man. Liverpool W, bro. Nah. I know you're a Liverpool fan, SMB. I know. But you've got to remember that. I mean, I don't know who's back. I mean, I guess Thiago is back, but Thiago did play against Brighton, didn't he? And he was washed. Like, he was really, really washed. Arsenal are going to be different, especially because with Partey and Xhaka in that midfield. Like, it's going to be a different kettle of fish. It really, really, really is. But we're looking at the weekend. I'll kind of end with, in fact, let me do I'll end with like a weekend prediction as I look back. and then we'll round things up. Let's have a look. I'm gonna just share screen. I'm gonna just go through and give my almost like brief Premier League preview. So let's have a look. Where is it? Well, that's weird. There should be a share screen button at the bottom of here. But I should be able to share, but I've just got, it just says present. That's how strange. I literally just realized this now. I'm like, unless they've taken that feature away from StreamYard. Let's have a look. Wow. That is weird. They've like changed the thing from like you can share to just present. That is really strange. I'm gonna have to look at that actually. Sorry guys. I normally would share screen and literally it was there, but now unless they've moved it somewhere, like it's a bit weird. I know I'm not confident. That's what I was thinking. Well, I can't share the fixture screen for some reason because there's no share options anymore. So I'll just kind of go through them from what I can see here really. So I apologize about that. It's StreamYard must have done something recently where they just decided, you know what, we'll take the function that's actually made people use the platform and remove it, and we'll either get rid of it completely or we'll put it as another upgraded package somewhere, which is really, really stupid. But that's kind of what these companies like to do to make more money. So 2 seconds. Yeah, I don't get it. Okay, anyway, let me go. So Newcastle versus Brentford at home. That's Saturday at 3:00. It doesn't look like there's any midday kickoffs, which is a bit weird. But yeah, Newcastle, Brentford. So that's going to be an interesting game. I suspect Newcastle will probably win just with the form that they're in and where they are. Bournemouth at home to Leicester. Bournemouth are going back down anyway, so it's fine. Bournemouth are going back down. Leicester City look like they're 19th, so they're above us on the table. I think it'll be a tight game, but I suspect it'll be a draw because both teams are not in the best of forms, though Bournemouth more so. Man City against Southampton is interesting. Southampton always tend to give Manchester City a game, but I just think but I think with Haaland it's going to be a different story. With Haaland, it's going to be a different story. So I hope Southampton take points off City. I'd love them to, but Haaland is a different story. I think it's going to be it'll be 4-1 to Manchester City, unfortunately. Chelsea Wolves also 3:00. Wolves will have a new manager, so new manager bounce could cause problems for Chelsea. They also last seasons they were a team that they drew against. I don't think they beat Wolves last season either. I expect another draw. I think probably a 1-1 or something like that, given both teams lack clinical finishers. Brighton Spurs. I'm going to be controversial here. I actually think Brighton will win at home. I think Brighton will beat Spurs. Spurs look lacking confidence a bit. They're not able to score, and Brighton can. Trossard, man, woo-wee! So yeah, I think that Brighton will beat Spurs. I probably think it'll be 2-1. I think 2-1. West Ham Fulham. West Ham look like they're gaining their confidence back, and I think Mitrovic might still be injured for Fulham. So I think West Ham will just edge it 2-1. Palace Sunday's kickoff. Palace Leeds. Vieira really needs a dub. I think he needs a dub, but Leeds are no slouches either. So I would say that it probably will be. They both are separated by 3 points. I'm going to give Vieira the benefit of the doubt that he'll hopefully get something from this game. So I think Palace will win at home. Arsenal Liverpool. This is the big thing here. 4:30. For some reason, I don't know why it's on. They're having Arsenal Liverpool 4:30, and they're having Everton United at 7 o'clock on a Sunday, which is strange to me. Very strange. Sunday kickoff, very, very strange. Everton, it's just weird. And then Forest against Villa on Monday. As I said, I think Arsenal, Liverpool. I think Arsenal are probably going to edge it. I think it's probably going to be 2-1. And then, as far as Everton United goes, United have got to win this game. I'll be doing my preview at some point, but United have got to win the game. It probably will be. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it will be. We can't keep clean sheets, so hopefully it'll be a 2-1 to Manchester United, and Forest are going to lose. Enough said. Sorry about that, guys. Usually I'll be able to share the screen. I don't know why it just says present, but I'll go to it anyway, guys. Thanks for those for watching. If you're new to the channel, to like, share, and subscribe to Red Devil Studio. Follow us on Twitter and X. Thanks for those who go involved in the Q&A, in particular Samasi, SMB. I really appreciate you guys getting involved. Have a nice day, everyone, and cheers.